But not a lot of people know you can also trademark a sound.
What?
A sound, yes. So you got mail. That
oh
sound,
yes,
that's a trademark. When the NFL played that sound for Monday Night Football, that's a trademark. Law and Order, when they make that sound,
yes,
that's a trademark, right? Homer Simpson, when he says "dope,"
yeah,
that's a trademark. And also Harlem Globetrotters, like that sound that they play to, that's also a trademark. Yes. Now, there's only about 60-something registered sound trademarks. It's not a lot of them, right? But Pitbull just recently kind of made history where he was the first not only like pop artist, but recording artist to be able to trademark a sound. I'm not going to say the sound, but.
Why you can't say the sound?
Because I don't want to sound
stupid. Isn't it like something like a roll of the tongue?
Yeah, like you know the sound.
Rosezena, let me hear the sound.
No, I don't know, and I probably messed it up. And people are like, she said it wrong anyway. Okay, well I ain't saying it. But even so like cool. When Cardi B was saying like the she tried to
Cardi B.
No, she tried to trademark the word, but she should have also tried to trademark the sound. You know, but she didn't have me.
That's what she didn't have you.
That's that would have been very strategic. Because also, too, trademarks so the trademark office will tell you sometimes that a trademark fails to function as a trademark. So, for instance, like when Birdman said, if I knew what I knew now, I would have trademarked bling bling, right? And what it is, because a trademark is a source identifier for consumers to relate back to where a product or service come from. So, it's very important. If you feel like your brand or slogan is about to go viral, you need to hurry up, get on top of it, and trademark it before it loses its source identifier, right?
Welcome back for another episode of Finding Your Niche with Neish. I am your host, Neish, and today I'm so excited because this particular person, I've had a lot of different people come on the show that have really, really interesting niches, but this lady right here, Rosezena, the business and trademark attorney. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to kind of jump right into it because when you think, you're my first person I even know or have even heard of who deals with trademarks, the importance of trademarks. And so I'm extremely interested in having a conversation with you today. First of all, what made you even decide? Because there's a lot of different industries that you can get in, right? When you decide and commit to being an attorney. But what was it about trademarking that was like, that's it?
I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 5 years old. And I started, in high school and college, like, I want to do international business law. Didn't know what the heck that was, but it just sounded fun. Sounded like you made a lot of money and you was going to travel a lot. And so I would say that. And then, not a lot of people know in order to go to law school, you just have to have a bachelor's degree. And you could pick whatever major you want. And so I decided to major in paralegal studies. And I actually took a course for intellectual property for paralegals. And it was actually taught by a lawyer who practiced trademark law predominantly. So she explained to us the different types of intellectual property, which you have copyrights, you have patents, you have trade secrets, and you have trademarks. And I just fell in love with trademarks. The reason, I was like, oh my God, I get to work on brands and protect brands. But not only that, I like kind of working on things and then going in society or in the public and actually seeing them and seeing how they're being utilized. So that's when I was just like, okay, I'm in love with me some trademarks.
Really? Okay. Get into it. Okay, so when you think of that, right? So what would you say is the main objective of your particular job?
So my main objective, I believe, is to help the underserved, right? And the underserved may be entertainers who are not given knowledge or education as they're entering into deals. It can be entrepreneurs who may feel they have a lack of access to legal services because they may not feel like it's affordable or in their reach, right? And so I always say that I serve the underserved by educating so that we can do better with our resources and our creativity that we're creating. Because I just posted the other day, trademarks equal ownership and ownership equals power. So I know, like, I'm helping people to secure the brand, which is what I say, so that they can secure the bag, which in turn secure their legacy.
That's good, because this whole time I had a business and I thought I had ownership just because I have a business.
You know, you're not the first.
Okay.
And not going to be the last. And a lot of people think that. They think, oh, well, I went and incorporated my business under my Secretary of State, whether it was an LLC or a corporation. I got my EIN number from the government, the IRS, the federal government, right? Maybe you got the domain name. Maybe you got your Instagram handle. So you thinking you official, right?
Right.
But and this is why I say education is so important, because truly, incorporation is just to help shield the individual from any legal liability that is to arise out of the business. Okay. Now, also, corporation does help with tax purposes as well. And if you wanted to raise money for investors tend to like to invest in businesses instead of just an individual person. So those are the purposes that incorporations serve, right? But we need to understand, as entrepreneurs, entertainers, and business owners, that trademark is what's going to give you exclusive ownership rights to the name. Because think about this. When you file and incorporate your business, you're doing it within your state, right?
Yes.
So how can your state tell someone in another state to stop using it? They don't have jurisdiction over that person, right? Or they don't have the authority, because states operate within the state. That's why it's so very important that you trademark on a federal level, because now it gives you exclusive, broad coverage across the nation so that you can stop others from utilizing that business, even across your state lines.
Oh, my God. So there's somebody in Utah right now named Nisha that can start a podcast called Finding Your Niche with Neish?
They can. So here's some exceptions to the rule,
okay,
right?
What are the exceptions?
So you have Finding Your Niche, right, with Nisha, and you're in Georgia, right?
Yes.
And say, for instance, someone in Utah say, you know what, I'm going to start a podcast. Today is October 27th. They're going to start the podcast tomorrow, right? So, and say they filed the trademark for it with the USPTO, right? Now, because you have prior rights and you were using it first, you can oppose that trademark. So when anyone files a trademark application, the government, if they approve it, it goes to what's called approved for publication. Anyone in the public has 30 days to oppose the trademark. But here's the thing. Are you actually going to be watching it if you're not even thinking about trademarks at all, right? Then furthermore, if you do watch it, you do notice it, in order to file that opposition, it's going to cost you 20 times the amount it would have cost you just to file the trademark. Wow. So for instance, like my firm, we charge about $1,500. It can go up from there, right, to file a trademark, and that's including the filing fee.
Yeah.
But if you came to me and said, Rosezena, there's somebody in Utah using my name, I see they filed a trademark, and I need to oppose their trademark. In order for us to take that case, the retainer is $3,500, right? And then the opposition, if they are going to fight you, can go almost out to 2 years. So once we go past discovery, if they don't want to settle or back down, now you're going to be on a monthly retainer of $1,500 a month. It's costly.
But and this is assuming that you said they have a 30-day window.
You have a 30-day window
from when they to oppose. And then if I miss that window,
they are going to get registration. And then they're going to get registration. Now, what you can do is go through a cancellation proceeding and try to cancel their trademark, right? And say that you have prior use, right? Which is going to cost even more money to do, right? Because to cancel someone's registration, that's expensive. It's timely, right? But say, for instance, you just ain't paid attention at all.
Right.
Because after their 5th year of being registered, their brand, their trademark registration now becomes incontestable unless you can prove that they somehow committed fraud on the government when filing that application.
Oh my God. Neish in Utah, you better not do this to me. Okay, so I want to unpack that a little bit, because a lot of people, because of 2 reasons, I think. Because of ignorance, just not knowing about the importance of trademarking, and I guess not feeling like it's important. So either you don't know about it or you know about it and you're just like, nah, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing to combat that? Because a lot of people don't feel like it's an important investment.
Yeah. So I always ask people, will you build a house on land you don't own? Or a land you haven't cleared, or a land you don't have the deed to? So I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Will you go and start to build a house on land you have not owned?
No.
Why not?
I don't know much about it.
And it just don't feel right, right?
It's not mine.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So I always ask in turn, like, why do we build businesses and brands if we do not own them? It's the same equivalent, right? So think about this.
Okay.
You want to sell all of these pretty pillows, right?
Okay.
And you like, people are in love with your pillows, right? You have the brand name on it, right? And say, for instance, you place an order, let's say, China, because, a lot of people get their products from China, right? And China tell you, okay, we'll sell you each one of these pillows for $1 a pop, right?
Okay.
And you're just retiring, or you just left your corporate job, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to pull down my 401k, and I'm going to invest the $10,000 to get these pillows, right? So the pillows ship in, you put it on your website, and so far you already sold 200. But now you hit with a cease and desist letter from an owner who say, I actually own Neish with Nisha.
Wow.
And now your pillows are confusingly similar, and my pillows actually say Neish with Nisha, right? And so now they're demanding that you turn over. We said you sold 200, so you got 9,800 pillows left. As the business trademark owner, they have the right to demand that you turn the products over so that they can destroy them. Now, how did that affect you?
Wow.
Considering you just took your last from your 401k.
I'm devastated.
Exactly. So why not protect yourself first and own what? And here's another example, because not a lot of people know, but once you get trademark registration, you can actually register that with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. So say, for instance, the person who owns Neish with Nisha, because remember, it doesn't have to be the exact same trademark. As long as it can be deemed confusingly similar, that means you're infringing on their rights, right? Okay. So say, for instance...
Wait, time out. Confusingly similar?
Yes, a likelihood of... so, for instance, if someone says, I'm gonna start Starbucks and I'm gonna sell coffee.
Okay.
Starbucks is gonna have a problem with that because that is likelihood to confuse consumers,
okay,
right?
Gotcha.
So, with this name, Neish with Nisha, and then you ordered the products, and now they're being shipped by container from China, right?
Yes.
And the person who owns Neish with Nisha, through their trademark registration, they have filed with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol to register their trademark. Now, your vendor is a different vendor from they use, right? So now they confiscate your products because your vendor is not on the proper registration for that registered trademark. And now you got to fight with customs to try. And more than likely, you're not going to get your products back. And they're going to take these products, destroy them, and charge you for the destruction.
Oh, my God.
It's serious. It gets really, really
serious.
Oh,
my God. Okay, but see... Okay, finding your niche with Neish. If somebody else ends up deciding, like, okay, I want to take that name. My name is also Neish. I think that's so cute and clever.
Yeah, I
want
think
that.
It's amazing.
Thank you. I know. I need to get it. Like, I need to figure this out. Yeah. That's why you're here. Thank you. How do you get people to, like, I don't know. How do you get people to care about getting things trademarked? Like, what challenges have you found that there's some kind of disconnect where people don't feel like they're more fascinated with the social media aspect of having a brand than the actual legitimacy with the business aspect? How do you connect the dots?
So one trademark that I own is called Trademark T.
Okay.
So I give them the Trademark T, right? And so I typically use celebrities, right? Or people that people feel like they can resonate with to tell the information from the Trademark T, which is derived from popular culture as it relates to celebrities or influencers and how it affects them. And then once I paint the picture for someone that they admire or they look up to, they be like, oh my God,
makes
this
so much
really,
sense.
this really can hit home for me, right?
Yeah.
And they learn, right? They learn from those lessons of those other people, and they like, this is really serious, right? And so, because I'm a trademark lawyer, so of course people are gonna like, oh, she's just saying that because she's a trademark lawyer, which perfectly, I'm fine with that, because I am saying it because I know the worst case scenario, right? That can actually happen. But at the same time, like sometimes you need to just put it on display for like, when Rihanna's going through something with a trademark where she had to stop her dad from using their name Fenty, which she had the right to as a trademark owner, right? Or like when Beyonce and Jay-Z is fighting over their baby's name, Blue Ivy Carter, right? Like that hits home for people, that resonate. Just recently Kanye and the Adidas thing, right? Like Kanye got some power because he owns Yeezy. So it, sometimes I always say like, one thing about me, I don't have to do crack. Because I already see what it do to other people, right? Like, so I ain't trying it, I ain't testing it, right? And sometimes I think we can look at other people and we can learn either from their mistakes or learn from their benefits.
So what are some of the other things that people can get trademarked?
So
that people don't typically think of.
Okay, so there is 4 different types of trademarks, right? So you can trademark a word or names. You can trademark a logo or a design mark. You can trademark a slogan or a tagline, right? But not a lot of people know you can also trademark a sound.
What?
A sound, yes. So you got mail. That's a trademark. When the NFL played that sound for Monday Night Football, that's a trademark. Law and Order, when they make that sound, that's a trademark, right? Homer Simpson, when he says dope, that's a trademark. And also Harlem Globetrotters, like that sound that they play to, that's also a trademark. Yes. Now, there's only about 60-something registered sound trademarks. It's not a lot of them, right? But Pitbull just recently kind of made history where he was the first not only like pop artist, but recording artist to be able to trademark a sound. I'm not gonna say the sound, but
why you can't say the sound?
Because I don't want to sound. Stupid.
Isn't it like something like a roll of the tongue?
Yeah, like you know the sound.
Rosezena, let me hear the sound.
No, I don't know, and I probably messed it up. And people are like, she said it wrong anyway. Okay, well I ain't saying it. But even so like when Cardi B was saying like the she tried to
Cardi B.
No, she tried to trademark the word, but she should have also tried to trademark the sound. But she didn't have me.
That's what she didn't have you.
That would have been very strategic. Because also too, trademarks so the trademark office will tell you sometimes that a trademark fails to function as a trademark. So for instance, like when Birdman said, if I knew what I knew now, I would have trademarked bling bling, right? And what it is, because a trademark is a source identifier for consumers to relate back to where a product or service come from. So it's very important. If you feel like your brand or slogan is about to go viral, you need to hurry up, get on top of it, and trademark it before it loses its source identifier, right? So like if you look up Black Lives Matter, no one owns the trademark to it because it's really hard to identify who the source, who actually created.
Actually got it trademarked.
Exactly.
Is it too late?
Well, so many people try, but now the government says it fails to function as a trademark because so many people use the name and so many things like that. They also issued that decision with Taco Tuesday with LeBron James, which I do not agree with that one, but yes.
See, he tried to trademark
Taco Tuesday as it relates to his podcasting service, right? Okay. But the crazy thing is, do you know Taco Tuesday is actually a registered trademark for a restaurant? Really? You would think it would fail to function there because people actually eating tacos on Tuesday or they have a special. But to say for his podcast, nobody's using it in that way. Yeah.
Okay, so then let's say you do decide to go the legitimate route. You get something trademarked. Can you make money from having something trademarked?
Absolutely.
How?
You can make money multiple ways. First and foremost, like by you printing your name on these pillows, right? And you sell these pillows. You now have the right to sell these pillows any way you want to because you own the brand name, right? Okay. You also can make money by stopping counterfeiters from creating names or pillows just similar, right? So, because if someone else said, you know what, I'm going to sell some pillows that say finding your niche with Neish, right? Or they, you know, they don't even use your name, but it's finding your niche with somebody else, right? You can stop them from doing that, right? Because if people really love finding your niche pillows, right? They're going to purchase them from you. But if they have other people and other options to buy it from, that affects your bottom line as the owner, right? But also, too, when you have a registered trademark, if somebody intentionally disrespect your name and don't put no respect on it, right?
Where you at?
You can receive multi-million-dollar judgments behind that.
What is a judgment?
So a judgment is a court ruling where they have awarded you damages, which is money, basically. Okay.
Let me get some judgment.
Yeah. So have you ever heard of mixed chicks?
The hair product.
The hair care product. So at one point, they were approached by Sally's to actually distribute their products out of Sally's Beauty.
Okay.
And they declined and they said, no, they're not interested. Or something happened, but they was like, no, they don't want to have their products in Sally's.
Okay.
So Sally's went in and created a product called Mixed Silk. Okay. And the product packaging looked very similar to the Mixed Chicks product packaging. So Mixed Chicks actually took them to court for trademark infringement, and the court actually awarded them a judgment of about $8 million. Okay.
Wow.
Now, Sally's only profited from selling the Mixed Silk products about $900,000, right? So where did the other $7 million come from? It came from under the statute when you are a registered trademark owner. If someone intentionally infringe upon your brand, you can get punitive damages for that. Wow. And so the court awarded them an additional $7 million. So that's how you could check a bag. You know, when somebody play with your name, right? And here's the thing. The internet is the wild, wild west these days. And they will definitely try to play with your name, reproduce your products, all type of counterfeit products and things like that. So it's very, very important.
That is, oh my God. Okay, so you said with your company and your program, it costs about $1,500 to get something trademarked. Is that a one-time, like once it's trademarked, it's always trademarked, or do you have to kind of keep re-upping on that?
That is a great question. So actually, so if all goes well, that's all you have to pay for. So basically, if you hire us, we are going to search the name first. We're going to issue you what we call an opinion letter. And then you're going to talk to one of my attorneys one-on-one, and they're going to let you know what we think based on what we had the findings in the letter. Okay. And then if you decide, say for instance, we tell you not to move forward because we found some challenges or risks, we'll search another name for you at no additional cost. Okay. But say, for instance, we're going to move forward. We'll get the application on file. It used to take the government 3 to 4 months to review the application. But since COVID, they thought we was going to quarantine and chill, but we was quarantining and creating. Right. And so it actually is taking them about 10 to 11 months now to review the application.
Okay. That's still long. That feels long.
It is.
Are you excited about your business and trying to figure out? That's a long time.
Yeah, it is. But guess what? It's on file though, right?
That's true.
So if anybody come behind you, your date is priority. So once they review it, if they approve it, it goes to what's called publication for opposition, what we talked about earlier, right? Okay. And so if no one opposes the trademark within that 30-day period, then you'll have trademark registration within 12 weeks from that 30-day period. So all in all, right now, it probably will take about 12 to 18 months. But guess what? If you get registration, you don't have to renew that registration until between your 5th and 6th year anniversary. Now, usually with your corporations and LLCs, you have to do annual reporting every year. But with your trademark, it's between your 5th and 6th year anniversary, and then your 9th and 10th anniversary, and then every 10 years thereafter. Okay. So the good thing about a trademark is as long as you use it, you will not lose it. Okay. As long as you use it, you will not lose it. But you have to keep the registration up. Like I just said, Coca-Cola was registered in 1893. Woo. Mercedes was registered in 1903. So that means your trademark can outlive you. It's a legacy builder.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they must have the right people in place because obviously some of the people that created those companies are no longer with us.
Exactly.
So they must have had enough business astute to be able to like keep it legitimate.
Yeah.
What would you say, or if you have any at all, any stories of some of the bigger brands that actually suffered something as a result of not having the right things in place when it comes to trademarking?
I would say like bigger brands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now Adidas is suffering.
Wait, okay, so is it Adidas? Who's really suffering? Is it Adidas or Kanye?
I think it's Adidas.
Well, how
I
so?
think that's why it took them, about 10 days to let Kanye go. If it was something easier, they probably would have fired Kanye a long time ago, right? But because Kanye actually has power, because he owns the trademark to the Yeezy brand, right? That's gonna be a big hit from them because they actually own the design of the shoe, right? Like the actual design of the shoe. But now when he leaves, right, when that partnership is severed, he takes the name with him, right? So, are you gonna
So they
buy?
can still technically come out with the same shoe and call them Thomas's.
Yep, they can.
The exact same shoe, just inside it just says Thomas instead of Yeezy.
Are you gonna buy them?
I'm not.
Okay, exactly. Right?
Oh my gosh.
So like brands carry so much power.
Wow.
And I was just telling someone earlier, I have 3 kids and my son, he's 21 now. My daughter's 17.
Wow.
And I have a 10-year-old, right? And my kids never will anything but Pampers, right?
Okay.
That's the brand that I trust to put on my baby's bottom.
Yes.
Like, even if they were out, I was going to another store. Even though it was probably a comparable brand next to them. And Pampers, I need to check because I'm shouting y'all out right now. And I ain't having no more kids. But it's just, and then just think about it. Like when you go to Target or Walmart, right? And as a mom, I love that Johnson & Johnson, that purple one where it put the kids to sleep and they got some lavender in there, right? And Walmart makes a comparable brand to it. Target makes a comparable brand. Walgreens, I think they made a comparable brand.
Yeah.
But I was putting my babies in Johnson & Johnson, right? Like brand name. And some people are like me, not all, right? Some people like, it don't matter, just give me whatever, right? But I think brand names carry weight. And I think Kanye knew that because he had the power. Shoot, he posted it.
He knew it.
Right?
Yeah, he knew
like,
it.
they can have it as long as I have the name. So it's just like, trademark registration is very, very important. It gives, like, think about Coca-Cola, Mercedes. I was actually teaching a course last night, and I said, just Google the top 10 most valuable trademarks, right? And
what are some of them?
So one was Google, and it was worth about $44 billion.
Wow.
The trademark alone. We're not talking about the algorithm. We're not talking about how many computers.
Well, when you say trademark, so help me understand that too. When you say trademark, is it the actual font? Is it how something looks?
So it will depend, right, on the valuation. So for Google, right, I would they probably, right, just like McDonald's, own the standard characters, but then they also own the font too, right? So that's 2 separate trademarks because you want to protect the standard characters, which is, so for instance, like McDonald's, right? McDonald's logo has evolved and changed over the last 70 years, like 9 different times, right? And so if they filed the logo and they only filed the logo, right? Because trademark law is vested under usage. You have to continuously use it. Remember I told you that? So when they change the logo, they're okay to change the logo. Why? Because they still own the name in standard characters, right?
Okay.
So that's what. So wait.
So I would have to file twice. I would have to pay $1,500 twice for like finding your niche with Neish, and then again for finding your niche with Neish in block letters.
So that's a great question because we don't charge you twice because the first $1,500 is going to cover us doing the research, right?
Okay.
And the research is still going to be the same. So when you want to do finding your niche, say this is the font you want to use with this color, you're going to claim rights in this color, right? So then that would be $1,500, and then the standard characters will be $875.
Okay.
Because it's the same name pretty much, right?
So, but are you okay? So, for instance, let's say I end up doing that. Am I bound to this, or can I guess I could just change the font, but I would run the risk of not having the other font trademark.
So this font will be protected, right? But that's why we're going to do it in standard characters in case one day you wake up and say, I don't like that font anymore. I'm changing it, right? And so when you
Sounds
change
like
it,
me.
you still own the brand name because you protected it in standard characters.
Oh, wow. Oh, my
Yes.
God. This thing gets deep.
It gets deep.
I didn't realize. Okay. So what would you say from your experience being in the industry and in the business for, how long you've been in it? What has been your greatest success story with trademarking?
So one of my greatest success stories is a young entrepreneur. She's very young, and she came to us very early on. She actually sells sauce, right? And she has been doing very well, and to the point that she has been awarded a presidential award from President Joe Biden.
Wow.
She actually just recently did a partnership with FedEx where she's on one of their commercials, and she's packaging up her sauce with the trademark, and she's able to send it out, right? Because here's the thing. People don't want to do partnerships with a brand if the brand is not fully owned, because then they inherit that liability, right? And she is probably one of my youngest clients, my youngest entrepreneurs, and her, like, to get a presidential award is already like,
right, it's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And now she has this partnership with FedEx where her brand is being featured on it. I have a lot of success stories, but I think I'm just so proud of her because she's so young and she's just killing it now.
So she got it early.
She got it, and she trademarked the logo and the standard characters because she listens to her attorney.
Shameless plug. Y'all better go book Rosezena. Okay, so if everybody has their things in place with their brand, what is it that you want people to actually be able to walk away with when it comes to the importance of like getting something trademarked?
I just want people to really, really understand that the trademark is the protection. I always say secure the brand, secure the brand. So you can secure the bag, right? Because so many people, like you said, they jump out, they start building a business, investing in a business, right? But what protection is that giving you, right? Just like when we buy cars, before we drive off the lot, we have to get insurance, right? It should be the same with your business. Before I'm going to invest my time, my money, and my resources into building something, I best own it first, right? So I would just say ownership is so important. It's key to success, right? And I showcase these stories all the time where it's like the trademark registration is very important. We just talked about one of the reality TV stars who, he owned his own business first. He trademarked it in the service area that he was doing. And then he got on reality TV, and the company who owns the reality show trademarked it in a different class, right? So there's 45 different classes under trademark law. And so it's very important that we understand that so that we can protect our brand, not just in one place, but all the places we either are going to use it in or we have a bona fide intent to use it.
Okay, so is it okay if somebody decides, you know what, I'm, no longer care that much about this business. I kind of want to let it disintegrate on its own or dissolve like with time. If somebody also decides if they want to sell their business, are they also selling the trademark along with it?
You would, right? I wouldn't want to buy it. So that's just like if I say, I want to buy Popeye's chicken.
Okay.
And they're going to give me the chicken recipe. They're going to give me all the furniture. And they're going to give me the restaurant equipment. But they like, you can't have the name. Well, it ain't Popeye's chicken no more, right? Because I can have the recipe, I can have the equipment, I can have the furniture, but I can't get people to easily walk through the door because they don't know the name. They don't know that this is Popeye's chicken. You get what I'm saying? If I'm buying that brand and I'm taking the name with me, I'm taking the goodwill of the brand. So now it's easy for people to walk through the door, right? And I always say when you are going to sell your business, if you own your trademark, that should go towards your valuation of the sale of the business. It's just like if I'm going to sell my house and I'm the only one on the block with a garage and a basement and everybody else don't have one, I need to get paid more for my house than anybody else on the block because I have additional assets within the house. And that's how you have to evaluate it. So, and trademarks do get sold all the time. We just, covered a story under Trademark T where Layla Ali is actually, and it's so sad, you're being opposed by the owners who own her father's name, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Because in 2006, he sold his name for $50 million, right? And so now they're opposing her to use her name, Layla Ali. And I'm like, no one will talk about it's a likelihood of confusion. I don't think it's a likelihood of confusion.
So
and Layla has done a great job to establish her own persona in the industry and things like that. But the best play would have been what Bob Marley did, right?
What
or
did
his family did. So Bob Marley, under the law, if a famous person is to die or be deceased, if they do not sell the rights before their death, then those rights actually go to their estate. So whoever controls their estate is the owner of their trademark. So Bob Marley family, they have licensed his name to manufacturers to actually utilize it. But when you license, you still own it. So you have the power, like Virgil. When he owned Off-White, right?
Yeah.
And he was under a license deal with the company that he was doing business with. And by the time the license deals were over, he was able to take the brand and go sell it and do a multi-million-dollar deal elsewhere.
Wow. That's something that I was going to ask you too. Like, if people should have their actual name in their business, is that a smart play or not?
It depends, right? It really depends on how you're going to do the branding. And I also wanted to tell you, you can also trademark your name too, as long as you're using it in connection to products and services. Like your name is Neish and you're using it in connection to entertainment services, podcasting services, that type of thing. But look at Martha Stewart. That's her name.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel bad for all the Martha Stewarts who are using that's their name, right? But because they can only use their name in their individual capacity, meaning you can have it on your driver's license, on your ID, on your house deed, but you cannot use it in the marketplace because Martha Stewart owns the trademark to her name.
Wow.
Vera Wayne, Beyonce, Meek Mill. So don't be naming your kids after these famous people. And then your baby can't use their name the way they want to because it's already a registered trademark.
Wow. Okay. So as we get ready to kind of close, what would you say are some of the most important things that you would want people to understand about trademarking?
I would say for starters, to develop a very unique name, if possible. The more unique the name is, the easier it's going to be to protect it, and the easier it's going to be enforce your rights against infringers, whether they're intentional or unintentional. The reason being is because if you select a generic name or a descriptive name, people in the industry will also have to utilize those names. For instance, like if you say, I'm selling tissue and I'm going to call it tissue. Well, that's generic because everybody's selling tissue, right? So you got to put like distinctive terms to it, like Charnon's tissue, Angel Soft tissue. Now it makes it distinctive, right? If you're an interior decorator, you can't say I'm going to trademark interior designs. You want to trademark something distinctive, right? So that your competitors have no reason to use it. Some of the best trademarks are like ExxonMobil. Don't mean anything as it relates to oil, right? Kodak did not mean anything as it relates to photography. Nike, right? Just like very distinctive terms where it's like people gotta like call to question, what does that mean?
Yeah.
That's the best type of trademarks to start with. And do the research.
Okay, and that's I was actually just about to ask you that. Okay, so if people are like wanting to know, it's not something you can Google, right? It's not something I can be like, let me see if somebody else has finding a niche with niche. They would have to do business with you guys.
Well, you can. To start out, I would say Google it and make sure nobody has it. But then also you can go to uspto.gov and search the name, right? But where you need to hire a lawyer, right? Because it's not about the same, but what can be deemed confusingly similar, right? And so like even before sometimes when people engage with us, I'll do a quick search on their name just to make sure, because if someone already have it, I don't want them going down the rabbit hole, right? But so we'll do a quick search, but we will check even further because remember I told you it's about a likelihood of confusion. So like if we check Starbucks, nothing will come up. But Starbucks is going to have an issue. So we do a deeper search to not only check for the same name, but anything that can possibly cause a likelihood of confusion to the name.
Okay, let's just say I have a really clever name of something that I want to come up with. I buy it. I don't actually have a business of it. And then somebody approaches me and says, hey, I like that name. Can I buy it from you? Is that a thing?
That is a thing, right? You have to, when you file a trademark, you have to have a bona fide intent to use it.
Okay.
Right? Meaning you're going to use it. Now, somewhere down the line, you changed your mind and you said, oh, I'm not, and they want to approach you so that, because you already have it on file, they don't want to go through that. That is a possibility. Yes.
What do you say to people where it's like out of sight, out of mind, where it's like, I'm starting a business and I'm okay with, I don't know that person I keep saying these strange states. So Wyoming, it's not strange. Shout out to Wyoming. But I don't know anybody out there. But like, let's say somebody in Wyoming, but they're not bothering, like they're not as successful with their podcast called Finding Your Niche with Neish as mine is. So it doesn't bother me. What do you say to that?
So I would say that as the owner, you have to enforce your rights immediately, right? Because say for instance, they have
and too, let me add to that as you get ready to enter. I guess, how do you become aware of these things? Like, is this happening often? People don't know that other people are using their name and the people are just getting away with it. Like, what if you just don't even know about it and somebody's out there just living their best life with the same name?
That's why you need to hire us, because we actually do something called watch services.
Okay.
We actually watch your trademark, right? And we actually watch it to see if people are utilizing it online and things like that. If they're filing it with the USPTO. But you can also set up Google alerts, right? Where if you put your name in, you set up a Google alert and Google will email you if that name hits Google. So if someone's in Wyoming, right, and they're using your name and you're like, well, I don't know, they're out of sight, out of mind. Say, for instance, right, two things can happen. One, say, they have Beyonce on.
Okay.
And now instantly they went viral and everybody's talking about them, right? That can cause what we call reverse confusion, because now people will look at you and say, oh, you stole their name, that podcast that had Beyonce on it in Wyoming, right? Or also the second thing is, say for instance, you do nothing and you're like, you know what, whatever, right? And then they actually, maybe they report some bad information or they say something very offensive, right? And now people are trashing them, right? And now people are thinking, because they only know you, right? They're thinking they're talking about you when they're really talking about them. Who's going to be out there to clean that mess up and clear it up, right? So that's why it's very important as owners that we truly secure our brand and we protect it, because sometimes people can cause tarnishment to our brand and not even intentionally try to, if that makes sense.
Okay, so when you said the part about, you should only get your name trademarked if you have the intent to use it. But because I have a lot of good ideas, right? What if I have an idea, but I don't necessarily want to start the business, but I think the name of the idea or the business or the company is so unique, I want to get a trademark, but I know it's not a business I want to start immediately.
Not immediately, but you do have an intent to start it soon, right? Then you should file an intent to use application, right? So with the intent to use application, you have a bona fide intent to use, you have the idea, you want to claim stake in the name because you know the name. And even so, before you begin to invest and launch in the business, right? You just want to make sure everything is on the up and up. And so remember I told you how the government will approve it for publication, but instead with an intent to use, if it's approved for publication and no one opposes it, they're going to issue what's called a notice of allowance. The notice of allowance allows anyone in the allows you 6 months to show the government how you are using the trademark. If you cannot show them how you're using the trademark within that 6 months, you can file for an extension for another 6 months, right? Now you have 5 6-month extensions. If you look at Blue Ivy Carter, the first application that was filed, they actually filed 5 extensions and then it died and it canceled, right? And then they did another application. And by this time, that's when the wedding planner had an issue with them filing the trademark. Even though They filed that first trademark before she filed it. I think they filed theirs in January when Blue was born, and then the lady filed hers in February.
So wait, was that a coincidence kind of thing, or it was just like, oh, I'm about to come up?
I think it was I thought this wasn't a big issue, but now these two big celebrities that had a baby and named it after a business.
So what was first though, the business or the baby?
The business was first.
It was a legitimate business called Blue Ivy.
But the business did not file a trademark until the baby came.
Oh my God.
So remember you were like, what if we just wait? And what if we, things like that can happen, right? But in that
So he ended up winning. Like, that's a sticky situation. So what ended up coming? What was the result of that?
So one thing happened was that Jay-Z, and GQ magazine said, we don't want to use the baby name. We just don't want anybody else to use the baby name. That is a trademark lawyer's nightmare.
Why?
Because remember I told you have to have a bona fide intent to use it.
To even try to file. And
yes,
he said that.
And he said that in a magazine, in an interview, right? But this is where we play chess. And not checkers as lawyers, right? Because Jay-Z is actually not the owner of Blue Ivy Carter, right? Actually, it's owned by BGK IP Holding Company, which is their IP holding company. And because he's an individual, he does not speak on behalf of that company. So what he said in that interview is actually hearsay. And so then that evidence is not admissible, right?
Yo, but Booker.
So at the end of the day, they tried it, but try again.
Wow.
So that was the issue that came up, right? And so that's why we tell our clients too, you have the right to remain silent. So shut the hell up.
Period.
Up, right?
Period.
Because now we gotta draw briefs up and we gotta, argue all different points that wasn't even an issue at first. So that was the situation there. But okay, so then when they got past that situation, now it comes down to, is there a likelihood of confusion, right?
Yeah.
And there's 45 different classes under trademark law, right? And that's why we have Dove Chocolate, Dove Soap, Mac Makeup, Mac Computer, Delta Airline, Delta Faucet, Pandora Jewelry, Pandora Music, right? So certain trademarks can coexist in the marketplace as long as they're not in the same trade of channel, okay? So therefore, Blue Ivy Carter, she was selling like clothing and bibs and pacifiers and things like that. This lady offered wedding planning services. So typically, also under the sophisticated consumer rule, right? When you're a bride, what are you going to do? You're going to spend some time finding your wedding planner, right? So there will not typically be confusion that Blue Ivy Carter, the baby, is planning your wedding for you. So they actually won the case.
Wow.
Beyonce and Jay-Z. Yes. Because there was no likelihood of confusion because there were different trades of channel.
Very interesting. I wonder if that got under their skin.
It did.
That they won.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And the lady had also said to Beyonce, it was reported in the news that if she paid them $10 million, she will go away. And Beyonce, in good Virgo fashion, because I'm Virgo too, was like, boo, I'll see you in court. You're not finna extort me for my baby name. I'll pay it to my lawyer before I pay it to you. So that was an interesting case. And
that is very interesting.
It's trademark T. And, we report it because now it resonates, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, there are different classes and they can coexist. So, yes.
Wow. Okay. I got a lot from this. There was one more question that I wanted to ask you before I wrap. It's let me think. It had to deal with, I think I'd ask you, asking the idea. If I have an idea, can I get it trademarked? Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Can you trademark an idea, or is it only names?
So you can trademark a name, a logo, a slogan, or a sound, right? For a copyright, right, it has to be a creative expression fixed into a tangible medium. Meaning, right, in a patent, you protect an invention, right? In a trade secret, it has to be like a formula or a recipe, like Coca-Cola recipe, KFC chicken, right? But an idea only lives in your head, right?
Mhm.
And so you have to make it tangible in some form so it can become protectable, right?
Okay.
So it's like, you know, you have to like if it's in your head, you can't be like, I'm suing somebody because I had an idea and it's in my head.
Well, you have to write it down.
You can write. So say for instance, if you have a song,
Mhm.
right? Or a poem,
Mhm.
you can now, because you took it out of your head and you fixed it into a tangible medium, which is the paper, right? Now you can copyright that, right?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just like chicken scratch.
Well, if
Or it has
you
to be
want
like a formal document of like, this is my idea.
I mean, you would want to, so like say for instance, if you're trying to put together like a curriculum, right?
Okay.
You probably want to type it up really nicely and then you want to register with the copyright office.
Okay, so for example, I have an idea of a toy that I want to create.
Mm-hmm.
Or I have an idea for like a toy to sell,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't written it down per se.
Yeah.
So for something like that.
So the toy will actually be protected under patents, right? So whenever you go in to talk to someone, a manufacturer, about creating the toy for you or even filing for the patent, right? A provisional patent or whatever, you're going to make sure the team that you're working with, they sign off on non-disclosure agreements and confidentiality agreements. And also they're going to acknowledge that you shared that idea with them.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you can speak to this if you happen to know about it, but I still find it kind of a fascinating situation and the first one that comes to mind. But for instance, the situation that happened with B. Simone in the book, do you understand what took place there and like how people can prevent themselves from being in that same circumstance as her?
I mean, I'm not really sure because I think I was somewhere traveling at the time when that happened. But it sounds like a young lady wrote the book, right? And she published her book. And then somehow B. Simone, the book was the exact same, which is plagiarism,
okay, so that made me think of it because I think when it all came out, it was a lot of onus to her team that made the mistake. So when you just said, you know, get people to sign a non-disclosure and make sure the people that are working with you are on, you know, their P's and Q's. How do you, I guess, I don't know, how do you prevent that from happening?
So, because I don't know how they got access to the book or whatever, right? But like for me, people was telling me, I did an ebook and I have a book and they were like, Ro, hire somebody to do that for you. And I'm like, I'm a lawyer. This got to come from me, right? Like I got to write this myself. I got to sit down and make time for it, right? But if you're going to hire like a ghostwriter to write a book for you or things like that, take the paragraphs and just drop them in Google. You'll be fascinated, right? Like some stuff that possibly will come up. I think it's a software too that will kind of search the web to see if there's like any plagiarism. Because look, I was in law school, went to undergrad, and I think professors use it all the time, right? To see if kids are like copying their papers and stuff. So like there's tools out there and software, and if you want to be very careful, do that. Or I would say create it like on your own or with like someone that's very close to you where you're like kind of helping them with concepts and things like that. And for me, I just couldn't let go of somebody writing my own book for me. I had to sit down and write it. I wanted it in my own words and things like that. But also too, like, come up with your own outline, you know, at the very least, right? Because now it's like, you got to create it from where I'm coming from, right? So I would say like to do, and also too with logos too, right? That comes up a lot. You know, I'm not going to say anybody's name or whatever, but a lot of times business owners, they go to these sites that offer, you know, logo services and things like that. And I don't have a problem with that, but make sure the person that you're hiring to create your logo, because this is your business asset, right? Make sure that they sign what we call a work for hire agreement, right? To transfer those rights to you. But more importantly, that work for hire agreement can be enforceable against them in the event that they breach the agreement. Because if your designer is in India and you have them sign this U.S. American document, right, is that you can't bring them from India to the U.S. to like enforce those rights again. You can, but it's going to be hard to do that, right? Very hard to do that. But also, too, you probably can't go to India and force that agreement if it's not recognized under their law, right? So you got to understand the places and the areas you're doing business in, because anytime you start doing business with people in different countries, you got to play to their laws, not the laws you're in the U.S. That's why I just tell people, like, you know, the value is in a relationship. People ask me all the time, why shouldn't I hire like these trademark companies online, right? I'm not going to say their names, but I always say I'm a real lawyer here, right? The value is in a relationship. I actually have a law practice where we have 20 people that work for the law firm, other attorneys. Our firm was ranked number 37 out of over 28,000 trademark law firms in the country.
Wow.
I was ranked number 32 out of over 33,000 trademark lawyers in the country this past spring. But recently, this fall, I was ranked number 15 out of 33,000 trademark lawyers in the country. And so it's value in investing in a professional.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, biz lawyer, you got that trademark?
I do. And the crazy thing is, I have to send some cease and desist letters. I have to pull up on some people. And you would say, but how? You a lawyer, so they gotta be a lawyer.
Yes.
So they should know better. Girl, you'd be surprised. So yes.
Wow. Very interesting.
Yes.
Okay, she out here stepping on these necks. Y'all better stop playing with her. Thank you so much for coming on the show. What you taught me today was extremely invaluable. Like I'm scared. I'm a little scared now because I'm like, but it's good scared because it's going to drive me to make change.
Yeah.
And so I need to go get this. With this being done, this is not a patent. This is just a trademark.
A trademark.
Okay, for the name. So you said trademarking a logo,
a name,
slogan,
or a sound.
I'm gonna blank this part out when I post it, but I want to get trademarked the slogan.
Don't just.
I'm gonna take the sound out.
Oh, okay. On
this part.
Okay. Like, I'm like, oh, don't. Because they'll be watching like.
Okay, I'm not going to say it then. I'll tell you off camera.
Off camera. And that's another thing, right? So, like, when you work with a lawyer, confidentiality is very important. Attorney-client privilege is very important, right? And so it's just like, I don't like clients saying anything in public until we file it, right? Now we can talk about it, we can shout it to the mountain, but we got to do the research and file it first.
Okay.
And sometimes we might got to get past that opposition period first.
Yeah, it's that part.
Yeah.
That's 12 months.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, Rosezena, thank you so much for coming on Finding Your Niche with Neish. Obviously, you have found an amazing niche. You're making incredible strides.
Yeah.
And I would just wish you continued success up from here. If people want to tap in and they're like, oh my God, I got to get my name trademarked today, my business trademark, I got to secure my brand, and they want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Please, I would say follow me on Instagram at The Biz Lawyer. That's TheBiz Lawyer. And it goes down in the DM. So don't be afraid to send me a DM. We actually welcome and we love DMs. But also, too, if you wanted to go to our website, it's www.rjpierce, that's PIERCE, law.com. It might be lawgroup.com. My team be changing that
I'm
stuff.
sure you'll find it.
So, yes, www.rjpiercelawgroup.com. And you can send us an email from there if you like. You can call the law firm. Our number is on there. A team member will be love to help you. And also, too, we have a book, and it's called the Trademark Manifesto. The book I was talking about that I wrote.
Okay.
We have a book, and you can actually, it's an ebook, and you can purchase it for $27 to learn so much more. Y'all see, I can sit here and talk for hours and days about trademarks. So because we can't cover it all today, but please go purchase the book for $27, and that's at the website, and you'll be locked in, and you can learn so much more from the book.
All right, there it is. All right, y'all, go tap in.
Thank you.